Hello and welcome. Recently, I reported my stand against Western powers' dictatorial push to install an unsought and unwanted smart meter onto my property in contemptuous disregard of my refusal to accept this demonstrably unsafe spying device. I repeatedly notified my non-negotiable rejection of any such intrusion, to which they disingenuously plied me with deceptive propaganda, claiming they have a legal right to countermand my express directions. I repeatedly submitted my objections, complete with a massive body of evidence confirming proof of harm, emphasising the catastrophic failure rate of their lithium-ion batteries. Predictably, they ignored my widely shared concerns and dispatched one of their installation goons in tyrannical disregard of my strenuous objections. I confronted this ignorant oaf, who unbelievably admitted he basically agreed with my viewpoint, but was due imminent retirement and didn't want to rock the boat. He actually used the cop-out phrase, "I'm just following orders," in contradiction of his hypocritical admission. Well, I couldn't prevent the installation short of using physical force. It's never an option for me. But I made it abundantly clear that the coerced installation was carried out under extreme duress and virulent protest. Unable to stop the corporate thugs, I've subsequently surrounded the obscene item with aluminium flywire mesh in order to create protection from carcinogenic EMF. This thuggish bullying takes place under the misleading premise of statute legislation, which does not constitute actual law unless consented to by the governed. There's no authentic law sanctioning corporate agents stormtrooping onto private property and forcing demonstrably harmful apparatus, no matter how much corrupt legislation they underhandedly contrive. They get away with this bullying thuggery because of the moral turpitude of people like the aforementioned installers, in tandem with the treasonous police, who knowingly issue unjust fines just to keep up a required revenue quota. This unconscionable absence of human values and ethical principles is the bedrock of tyranny. This cannot change until we focus public attention on these critical issues. To spark effective resistance, we must succinctly frame these issues, demonstrating how globalism directly impacts livelihoods, businesses, and financial security. Some cling to the forlorn hope that the Constitution will save us. Well, it won't. It can't. In its current degraded state, our Constitution is unrecognisable. It's diluted to the point of being unfit for purpose. We confront powerful international forces spearheaded by the UN-driven globalism, criminal organisations with utter contempt for constitutional constraints and international law. Their insidious goal is a one-world government, the Agenda 2030 of the New World Order, and they're rapidly wiping out our legal protections across the board. They're building a system where Australia, once a sovereign nation, has no real authority over its own affairs. If we don't stop them, we lose what remains of the Constitution and all Australian institutions. This is why it's crucial to challenge anyone still clinging to the idea that our current system will protect us. Ask entrepreneurs and business leaders how much longer do they think their businesses can survive under globalism's fascist jackboot. Objectively examine threats like the Great Reset, where hostile actors openly destroy independent businesses. We need to confront this cancerous reality head on. Grasping globalists now push ever harder for total control, having made their covetous intentions painfully clear. They're not even hiding it. In fact, they've set the date of July 19th, 2025, when they plan to take full control of this nation and many others. We need to stop this now by challenging everyone to wake up to what's happening. For most people, money is the primary concern, even more than health or the safety of their families. That's the unfortunate truth. And for critical thinkers who do care, where are you? Now is the time for everyone who's awake and aware to unify and collectively fight back. Globalism's key strategy will eliminate all traditional forms of currency. They're making cash and every other kind of transaction illegal, except for their own programmable central bank digital currency. If you think you'll be able to use any other form of money, think again. Anyone assuming digital currencies are safe, remember, all it takes is for anonymous agents of influence to block your internet access or use their smart meters to remotely shut off electrical power. When this happens, you lose everything. This isn't Looney Tunes fringe conspiracy theory. Relentlessly encroaching globalism is destroying society right now with our treasonous politicians facilitating crimes against humanity without pause. They're directly responsible for these egregious affronts and they must be held fully accountable. And remember, this is just the beginning. We've consistently demanded Australia's elected representatives confront this globalism menace for the Australian community. They were elected in good, if woefully misguided, faith, to serve the people of this nation. They were not elected to obsequiously grovel at the feet of transnational crime cartels who are currently destroying it. After decades of presenting innumerable grievances to these sycophantic globalist puppets, I've never once had a satisfactory response. There wasn't a single occasion where a so-called people's representative supported community objections to harmful government agendas. This hostile bias is the norm, regardless of meaningful representation of their people being their primary mandate. Well, that's what our tax dollars are paying them for. But now they don't even bother responding. Even so, they still keep their grunting snouts buried deep in the tax trough. Recent surveys reveal that the quickest route to becoming a multimillionaire is via politics. So what does that tell you? The social contract between government and people is long since sabotaged. No checks and balances exist to ensure repeat government offenders are ever held accountable. And even if there were, the justice system is criminally controlled by the enemy. All essential institutions are either terminally compromised or captured while oppressing the nation under the belligerent occupation of genocidal criminals masquerading as elected representatives and political leaders. Representation has been usurped by brutal suppression, and my decades of activism bears testimony to that tragic fact. Our political, judicial, educational and medical systems are corrupted beyond belief, but like it or not, you'd better believe it, because we're out of time. Still, too many among us refuse to accept that the COVID scandemic was the biggest behavioural control and psychological reframing experiment in human history, no matter how much evidence is presented. What still confounds me is the percentage who not only swallowed the COVID hoax hook, line and sinker, but enthusiastically embraced it. Many were overly aggressive towards non-mask wearers and jab refusers, regardless of the massive and ever-growing body of proof confirming that the only contagious virus was a manufactured false belief, a demonic deception driven by media-inculcated fear of a threat that never existed. The fake pandemic only existed in the criminally corrupted mainstream media and captured government. All illness, injury and death came as a direct result of weaponised testing equipment and toxic jabs. It was a genocidal terrorist attack from governments upon their own peoples. In closing, I herein register my incandescent disgust at the Australian government's support of war criminal Zelensky. I'm outraged Australia's villainous globalist government glad hands our tax money to the most corrupt country on earth, currently press-ganging Ukrainian citizenry into the meat grinder of a doomed war. I deeply resent Australia funding armed gangs of murderously violent thugs, kidnapping innocent victims off the streets to be sent to certain death. Such hateful, anti-human cruelty is entirely unforgivable. Thank you for watching.